Okay, my margaritas are on the way to me. So we're going to wrap up Booker 2024 with the final book, Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. Hello, book friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hello if you're new. Welcome to the end of my Booker reviewing madness. I have no idea when this video is actually going to go out, but I'm super excited to talk about the final book in Booker. And I'm so glad that I left this to the end because Tommy Orange, you had me in tears. So good. What is my dog eating? She wasn't eating anything. Her brave ears were on because there was a thunderstorm. First, I want to say that there's been a lot of debate on whether or not you need to read There before you read Wandering Stars. And I would say that yes, you should. I know that it has been said that like you can read them separately, but I don't think you will have the same experience if you don't already know those characters going in. I think that you will have a much more emotional experience if you read There before you read Wandering Stars. So please do that. I think it'll be better for you. Anyway, Wandering Stars. Wandering Stars kind of goes back and then picks up on the characters we know from There. So if you have never read There, essentially you're following a whole bunch of different Native people, and they're struggling with things like addiction, generational trauma, all this stuff. And they eventually all converge at this powwow, and then an event happens and it descends into chaos. And in the beginning of Wandering Stars, you're starting way back in the beginning of these families, and you're seeing how the US government and things that happened here have shaped the lives of natives. And very directly, you get mentions of Teddy Roosevelt and a few other people that have constructed like the schools that we sent Native Americans to de-native them, to make them whiter, to indoctrinate them into Christianity and other things, to strip them of their culture, etc. And you see that family that runs, the trauma of that run through the familial line back to the characters we know from There. And we pick up with those characters after the powwow, after everything that's happened, and we see how their lives have changed. Some people, things have gotten a bit better, and they've turned things around. Some people, they have so much trauma and so much to process from this horrible event that happened. And through it all, there continues to be addiction, generational trauma, racism, a lot of question of like, what does it mean to be Native, and who is Native, and how do you identify if you are Native? Do you say I am Native? Do you say I am Cheyenne? Do you say, like, how do you reattach yourself to an identity that was stripped from you? It is so beautifully done. I don't really want to ruin anything, so I don't even know I don't think I'm going to say a lot in this review other than please go read this. Lonnie had me in tears. I think that Lonnie is one of these three brothers that was at this powwow and had their lives very seismically changed at this powwow. And I love Lonnie. I think that Lonnie is the kind of kid in a book that is so filled with heart, and I just want to hug him. Like, he needs to be hugged. It's just so well done. I absolutely adore this book. My question though is, where's Tommy Orange going to go with the next book he writes? Because I feel like these characters are done. Like, I feel like this world that he's created, this specific world in Oakland, is done. What is the next Tommy Orange? I'm very excited and curious to see what he's going to write next, how he's going to write it, what new stories we're going to get. If maybe any of these characters are going to poke their little heads in, maybe he'll go back to the past and we can flesh out some of these early characters and see maybe more about their experiences in this like prison school thing down in Florida. I don't know. I'm just very curious to see what his mind comes up with, what he writes. And I was very surprised to actually see this on the Booker long list, because I felt like this was the kind of book that Booker would overlook, just because of like, it was kind of my same reason why I feared maybe James wouldn't be included. It is like a deeply American book in the sense that like these are American politics and issues. These are things that have happened in American history. These are like, I always feel like the Booker is going to be more like Eurocentric, more like UK centric, more like Irish centric, Ireland centric, and then things for like the US and Australia, especially Australia, I feel like kind of get left out. So I was really happy to see it here because I think it does deserve to be here. I think this is one of the better books on the list. It's definitely in like my top 3. I would not be mad if this won over James. In all honesty, I would not be mad, and it better be shortlisted because it deserves to be shortlisted. It is so well done. The way that Tommy Orange can blend info dumping of history with emotional stories about people and make you connect with those characters is beautiful. I love it. I love the way he writes. I love the way he tells story. I love the way that he makes you feel something and makes you understand what has happened in a way that some of these other books have missed. There were other books on the long list that sort of gloss over the uglier bits, the difficult bits, and Tommy Orange makes you look at it. And I think that Percival Everett does the same thing. He makes you look at the things you don't want to look at. So once you face them, then you can move on and you can understand the people behind that are affected by these things. You can have empathy. You can kind of like grow and learn, which is that thing that we're always doing, like when someone gets called out on the internet, I need to grow and learn. You can do that when you actually face the ugly bits of life. I'm kind of rambling a little bit now, but like I loved this. I'm going to see if I can find just like a little something to read to you just so you can get a sense of what Tommy Orange does in here. All right, so there's a section where like you were in the very beginning of the book, and we're talking about some of the people in the past that were in this prison in Florida where Native people were brought, and they kind of get like stripped of their nativeness and made into more like white Westerner like ideals. This is like they're leaving and they have to change their names, so they don't have their native names anymore. It says, getting these new names felt like dying again, and I felt like a cloud without rain, and I felt without fruit and uprooted, twice dead, all of it. It was me, the book of Jude. I didn't even remember that the next verse was the one that had so sucked me in when I first encountered it. That first time I'd read the Bible all the way through, that verse about wandering stars. I put down my last name as Star, and I gave them Jude for my first name. Like, it's just so sad that like you strip people of identity and place, and how that unsettling of peoples flows through generations. And Tommy Orange does a beautiful job of threading that through the whole narrative. I'll give you one more. I don't know the ways of our people. I was too young when they took me, and then the school meant to make what I knew a sin. Everything I have left to share, to pass down to you, will have to be good enough. All I have to tell you about being Cheyenne came from my mother before she died, and because she was dying, she spoke to me in a way while she was dying like I knew she wouldn't have otherwise. Not unlike the way I speak to you now, not because I am dying, but because you are on your way to being born. But what I have to give you from her, my mother, is not more than a distant memory. I have lost parts, or I'm sure mangled them in my memory. This is what I have to give you. It's just so sad that you cannot pass on your culture to your children because somebody took that from you. Jesus, I think the margaritas are here. Sorry, I had to stop for a second because margaritas have arrived. So anyway, so we'll wrap this up so that we can end Booker, so that I can have my margarita and my flautas, and we can celebrate the end of this lovely Booker season. So I really love this. I think that's clear. I think definitely needs to be read. I know that sometimes I've heard some people find that there is difficult to read in some ways or to connect. The stories feel a lot more separate in there. It doesn't feel quite as linear. And then slowly everybody starts to connect, and you get to that powwow and you get to that seismic event. And Wandering Stars does feel a lot more linear, a little easier to follow. So if you didn't like that in there, you're not going to have it here in Wandering Stars. So yeah, I think it's hard for me to say that I like one over the other because I think they are a little different. I think they hit me with different feelings. But I think they're equally as good, in all honesty, in my mind. I love them. I love that it's on this list. I love that it gets that nod from Booker, at least for the long list. And I really hope that it is shortlisted. So I'm going to give you my list for the Booker long list. And this is where we are. we're finally done. I can't believe we got through 13 reviews. I can't believe I read all these. It is currently August 19th. I can't believe I got through those in like 20 days. I only read James prior to the start of Booker, so I guess I only read 12 books, but I still can't believe I read all those. I don't know when this last one's coming out, but like I promised in a couple of these reviews, I'm also going to give you what I think the Booker judges are going to give you as a short list. This isn't my short list, but I will put up there what I think right here. I'm going to give it a little thought. I haven't given it a thought yet, so I can't tell you right now what it is, but editing Alyssa will put a little graphic up here with what I think will be shortlisted by the Booker judges, and it'll probably be very wrong, but this will be my prediction. And we can judge it in a couple weeks. But yeah, that's it. It's been a journey. I'm not really sure how I feel about this overall list. I think it's less infuriating in a lot of ways than last year's list. I feel like I had a lot of high highs and low lows in 2023. I feel like these are all very like middle of the road. It was hard for me to be like, this is the worst book written. It was hard for me to be like, this is the best book written. Like there were some really good ones. I think like my top 3, I think are very solidly fantastic books. Whether the Booker judges will feel the same way or not, we'll all find out in a little while. But I think it's an interesting list. I think it's hard to have very strong emotions to a lot of these, which doesn't make for great videos, let me tell you, because people really like it when you're mad or gushing or like all over the place and these like hills and valleys of feelings. And I don't really have like I'm very frustrated with certain ones. Like I'm frustrated with Headshot. I really didn't like Headshot, and that's the way it's written. I didn't like Creation Lakes. That's the way it's written. And that's more like you chose to narrate a story in X way, and it irritated me so much that it was distracting from the story. Whether the book on a whole is bad, I don't know. You know, like Orbital felt a little boring. It felt like it was missing something. But is it badly written in general? No, I think that's why we have so many books where we're all kind of back and forth on them. I look at my comments and somebody's like, oh, I really disliked Enlightenment. And somebody else is like, I loved this. Orbital, like, oh, Snorbital. Oh, I loved Orbital. It was life affirming. Like, they're so middle of the road that depending on your own life experiences, you're going to like hit up or down on them. They're just not pushing boundaries enough. They're not doing a lot as a whole. And there's a couple that I think kind of are, and that's why they're at the top of my list. And they did something. Like they made me feel something. They made me think differently. They engaged me so fully that I didn't want them to end. I mean, like the Safekeep, I hated Isabel, hated her. I was like rolling my eyes. I don't want to read a story about this woman. She sucks. And then by the end, I rode that romantic roller coaster with her. I was so there. I want that. I want you to envelop me in a story. And a lot of these were just kind of fine. And that was a bit of a disappointment. But I guess it's still better than having these like really high highs and really, really low lows. And everything is better than Prophet Song, if you ask me. So I probably just pissed somebody off. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna shut up. I got margaritas. I've got flautas. We're done. We're done with the reviewing hat. I'll see you guys in 2025, or maybe for a Booker announcement reaction. I don't know. Let me know your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on all the books. Let me know your shortlist. What is your shortlist? What is your shortlist? And what do you think the judges are gonna pick as a shortlist? There, that's the question. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for going on this journey. Like and subscribe. We're going to go back to regular scheduled programming shortly. I'm already behind on some things. I got other videos I have to film and edit, and it's a lot of work for something that's not your job. Anyway, that's it. Goodbye.